Welcome back the rare and valuable coins today. We're diving deep into the world of silver Washington quarter dollars. But not just any quarters, we're talking about the ones that sold for thousands of dollars at auction, so let's get started. First, up the 1981 Washington quarter with a D mint mark is an interesting example of modern American coinage. Though it might not seem particularly rare at first glance, especially in circulated condition, every coin has a story, and this one is no exception. This coin comes from a period just before the massive design changes in the U.S. quarter series and serves as a great representative of the copper-nickel-clad era that defined late 20th century coinage. Let's begin with the basics. The obverse side of the 1981 quarter features the classic portrait of George Washington, facing left with the word Liberty inscribed above his head. To the left of Washington's profile is the national motto, "In God We Trust," and at the bottom, you'll find the year 1981. Just to the right of the portrait is the letter D, indicating that this particular coin was minted in Denver. The reverse side displays an eagle with outstretched wings, clutching a bundle of arrows in its talons. Below the eagle are two olive branches, representing peace. The words United States of America and E pluribus unum appear above the eagle, while quarter dollar is written along the bottom. This reverse design remained in place from 1932 to 1998 before being replaced by the 50 state quarters program. Now, it's important to address a common misconception. Many people believe quarters, like the 1981 example, are made of silver. In fact, that's not the case. The last circulating silver quarters were made in 1964. Beginning in 1965, the U.S. Mint transitioned to a copper-nickel-clad composition. The outer layers are 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a pure copper core. Therefore, the 1981 quarter contains no silver content and is not considered a silver coin, even though it retains the classic look and feel of older coins. Let's take a closer look at the condition of this particular coin. It has a black color tone and is described as being in dirty condition with visible scratches. This appearance typically results from years of circulation, environmental exposure, and surface contaminants. Dirt, oxidation, and wear can give coins a darker, uneven shade, especially if they've been stored improperly or exposed to moisture and air. The scratches add to the circulated look, and while they don't necessarily reduce the historical value, they do impact the collector value. From a grading perspective, this 1981 quarter would fall somewhere between good and fine condition. The details of the coin are still visible, but wear and surface issues like discoloration and scratches make it less desirable to high-end collectors who seek uncirculated or mint-state examples. Still, it holds value, especially to beginners in coin collecting or those who are assembling a full set of Washington quarters by date and mint mark. In terms of mintage, the Denver Mint produced over 575 million quarters in 1981. That's a substantial number, which means these coins are still very common in circulation today because of their high mintage and lack of silver content. 1981 quarters usually trade for their face value in average circulated condition. However, unusual errors, double dies, or exceptionally preserved examples in high grades can attract interest from collectors and bring higher prices. Now, let's talk about the current market value for a 1981 Washington quarter with a D mint mark in dirty condition and with some scratches. The value typically remains close to face value, around 25 cents. In some online auctions or coin markets, a circulated coin in similar condition might sell for 30 to 50 cents, especially if buyers are looking to fill gaps in a date and mint set. However, unless the coin has a unique error or is an exceptionally high grade, it's unlikely to fetch more than $1 in the current auction market. Collectors seeking coins for their personal albums often purchase coins like this not for their rarity, but for the satisfaction of completing a collection. And even coins in less than perfect condition still tell a story and serve as tangible connections to the past. The patina, discoloration, and scratches are marks of the coin's journey through time through pockets, cash registers, and countless hands. In conclusion, the 1981 Washington quarter with D mint mark might not be a high-value rarity, but it still has educational and historical worth. It reflects a time in U.S. coinage when copper-nickel became the standard, and it stands as one of the last designs before the dramatic changes introduced in the late 1990s. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or just starting your journey into coin collecting, coins like this are worth appreciating for their history, design, and the role they've played in everyday American life. Next up, the 1979 Washington quarter without a mint mark is a coin that may seem quite ordinary at first glance. It's a common piece that many people still find in their change today. But, like all coins, it carries historical significance, design, interest, and a story worth telling. Let's take a deeper look at this coin, its background, design, composition, and what collectors might pay for one in today's auction market. To begin with, the obverse of the 1979 Washington quarter features a familiar image, George Washington's profile, facing left. This portrait has appeared on the quarter since 1932 and was designed by John Flanagan. Above Washington's head is the word Liberty, while the motto, "In God We Trust," appears to the left. Below the portrait is the date 1979. What makes this coin specifically a Philadelphia mint issue is the absence of a mint mark. Coins struck in Philadelphia prior to 1980 usually do not carry a mint mark. So when you see a Washington quarter dated 1979 with no mint letter, you can be fairly confident it came from the Philadelphia Mint. In that year, over 515 million Washington quarters were produced in Philadelphia alone, making this coin a very common one from a mintage perspective. The reverse design of this quarter features a heraldic eagle with its wings spread, perched on a bundle of arrows, with 2 olive branches below. The inscriptions, United States of America and E pluribus unum, appear at the top and $quarter at the bottom. This reverse design had remained consistent since 1932 and would continue until 1998, before the state quarters program launched in 1999. Now, let's address an important misconception. Many people believe that all older quarters, especially those from the 1960s and 1970s, are made of silver. But in fact, the U.S. Mint stopped using 90% silver in regular circulating quarters after 1964. From 1965 onward, Washington quarters were made of a copper-nickel-clad composition. The outer layers are made of 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a pure copper core. So, even though this 1979 coin may look silvery, it contains no silver at all. It is a clad coin. This means its intrinsic metal value is very low, and its collector value depends almost entirely on its condition, rarity, or unique features. Speaking of condition, this specific 1979 quarter is described as being in good condition with some scratches. In numismatic terms, good is a lower grade, meaning the coin has clearly seen circulation and shows moderate to heavy wear on the highest points of the design. Some of the finer details in Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers may be flattened, and surface marks or discoloration from scratches will be present. That being said, even coins in well-worn condition can have some collector interest. For example, beginners often look for these quarters to complete basic sets by year and mint. Even a well-worn coin can be desirable for someone who wants to build an affordable full-date set of Washington quarters. As for value in today's auction market, most circulated 1979 Washington quarters without mint marks are worth about 25 cents their face value, in slightly better condition. They might fetch around 30 to 50 cents from a collector looking for a specific date or example to complete their set. In very high grades such as Mint State 65 or higher coins from this year can be worth several dollars, but only if they are in pristine, uncirculated condition, free from scratches, blemishes, or discoloration. Because this particular example is in good condition with visible scratches, it falls on the lower end of the value range. Still, some collectors, especially those interested in building circulated coin sets or historical collections, may be willing to pay slightly more than face value. On online platforms like eBay or small coin auction sites, you might see this kind of coin listed or sold for between 30 cents and $1, depending on how it's presented and the buyer's interest. Some collectors also search for errors or varieties. From the 1979 quarter. Although no major error types are well known from this year in mint, occasional off-center strikes, die cracks, or weak strikes can occur and bring additional value. If a coin like this has such an error, even in circulated condition, it could be worth several dollars or more. Next up, the 1966 Washington quarter. Without a mint mark is a coin that tells a significant story in the history of U.S. coinage. Although it may look like a typical silver coin to the untrained eye, the truth is far more interesting. With its classic design, transitional background, and modest collector value. The 1966 quarter is a fascinating piece for both new collectors and seasoned numismatists. In this video, let's explore the coin's background, features, and current market value for a fine condition example with some scratches. Let's start with the design. Like all Washington quarters minted from 1932 to 1998, the obverse or front features the bust of George Washington, designed by sculptor John Flanagan. You'll see Washington's profile facing left, the word liberty inscribed above his head, the motto "In God We Trust" on the left, and the date 1966 located below the portrait. It's a timeless design that remained unchanged for decades. On the reverse of the coin, we see the majestic image of a heraldic eagle with outstretched wings perched on a bundle of arrows. Beneath the arrows are two olive branches, symbolizing America's strength and desire for peace. Around the outer edge of the reverse side are the inscriptions United States of America, E pluribus, unum, and $quarter. This familiar design evokes a sense of tradition and patriotism that still resonates today. Now, let's address a common misunderstanding. While many people refer to quarters from the 1960s as silver coins, the 1966 Washington quarter is not made of silver. In fact, the U.S. Mint stopped producing circulating quarters with 90% silver after 1964. The Coinage Act of 1965 introduced the copper-nickel-clad composition to reduce the cost of coin production and prevent hoarding due to rising silver prices. That means quarters from 1965 onwards, including the 1966 issue, were made of a copper core sandwiched between two layers of copper-nickel alloy, containing no silver at all. Because of this change, the 1966 Washington quarter looks silver in color, but it has no intrinsic silver value. That doesn't mean it has no value at all, but its worth is based solely on collectability, condition, and any unique characteristics rather than precious metal content. Another point worth noting is the absence of a mint mark in 1965-1966. In 1967, the U.S. Mint temporarily removed mint marks from all circulating coins. This decision was made to discourage people from hoarding coins based on mint location, which had become common during the coin shortage of the mid-1960s. So, if your 1966 quarter doesn't have a mint mark, don't worry, it's completely normal and expected. Let's talk about the condition. This particular example is described as being in fine condition with some scratches. In numismatic grading terms, fine suggests moderate wear on the coin's raised elements. You'll still be able to clearly see major details like Washington's profile and the eagle on the reverse, but the finer textures, such as hairlines or feather patterns, may be worn down. Surface scratches, typical of a coin that's been in circulation for years, also visible. In today's market, a 1966 Washington quarter in fine condition with scratches is not a rare coin. With a mintage of over 821 million coins, this issue is considered very common. For that reason, its value remains relatively close to face value in circulated condition. Most collectors already have one or more 1966 quarters in their collections, and many examples are readily available. That said, some collectors still enjoy owning circulated examples for year sets or historical interest. On average, a 1966 quarter in fine condition with light wear and scratches might sell for around 25 cents to 50 cents in today's auction market. Occasionally, a coin in slightly better condition or with a unique toning pattern or minor error might sell for a bit more. In very high grades circulated or mint state, the value could rise to a few dollars. And in exceptional condition with a certified grade of MS65 or higher, it might bring in $10 or more. However, such premium values are only for coins with no wear and perfect surfaces, which isn't the case with this specific example. Some collectors also look out for potential error coins from 1966. While not extremely common, there are a few known varieties such as off-center strikes or die cracks. If your coin happens to have one of these errors, its value could be significantly higher even in circulated condition. Next up, the 1984 Washington quarter with the D. Mint mark is one of the many circulating coins from the latter half of the 20th century that still finds its way into everyday change. Despite its age, this coin remains a common piece in circulation. In this video, we'll explore the story behind the 1984 D Washington quarter, its composition, design, and how much it's worth today in the auction market even in dirty condition, with visible scratches. Let's start with the basics. The obverse front of the coin features the portrait of George Washington, the first president of the United States. This iconic image was designed by sculptor John Flanagan and has been in use on the quarter since 1932. Above Washington's head, you'll see the word Liberty, and to the left, the national motto, "In God We Trust." Just beneath the image is the year of mintage 1984, and next to it is the small letter D, indicating that this coin was struck at the Denver Mint. Moving to the reverse of the coin, we see the heraldic eagle design, also by Flanagan. The eagle is shown with wings outstretched, perched on a bundle of arrows with two olive branches beneath it. Around the edge, you'll find the inscriptions United States of America, E pluribus, unum, and quarter dollar. This design has remained a staple on U.S. quarters for many decades and is deeply rooted in American tradition. Now, let's talk about the metal content. Although this coin may look like it's made of silver, the 1984 Washington quarter does not contain any silver. It is actually made of a copper-nickel clad composition. The core of the coin is pure copper, while the outer layer is a mixture of 75% copper and 25% nickel. This change from silver to clad composition occurred after 1964. When rising silver prices made it impractical for the U.S. Mint to continue using silver in circulating coins because of its non-silver content. The 1984 D quarter has no intrinsic metal value above its face value. However, it still holds interest for collectors, especially if the coin is in uncirculated or mint condition, or if it has a known error. But for circulated coins, condition becomes a key factor in determining value. The coin in question here is described as being in dirty condition with some scratches. That means it has seen significant circulation. In grading terms, it likely falls in the good to very fine range, depending on how much wear is present. A dirty surface with visible scratches is quite common for a coin that has been used. In commerce for over 40 years, these surface flaws impact its visual appeal, which is crucial in the eyes of collectors, in heavily circulated or dirty condition with scratches. This coin is typically worth its face value, 25 cents. Since more than 546 million of these quarters were minted at the Denver Mint in 1984, they are extremely common. For coins in average circulated condition, collectors do not generally pay a premium. However, there are always exceptions in the coin world. In auctions, if a 1984 D quarter has a unique feature such as a die crack, doubling, off-center strike, or other mint-era writ can command a higher price. Some era examples from this year have sold for $20 to $100 depending on the rarity and visibility of the mistake. But for a standard circulated coin with no errors, the value stays close to face value in better condition, especially if certified by a grading service like PCGS or NGC. Prices can rise. An uncirculated 1984 D quarter graded MS65 or higher could fetch anywhere from $5 to $15. In ultra-high grades like MS67 or better, the price can jump to $100 or more. But such examples are extremely rare and must have sharp details, strong luster, and no visible flaws. In contrast, the coin we're discussing with dirt, scratches, and signs of wear would not qualify for these high-end collector prices. However, it still carries historical value and can be appreciated for its role in the broader story of American currency. It's also worth holding on to if you're building a circulated coin year set, or if you're just starting your collection. To summarize, the 1984D Washington quarter is a common and affordable coin from the late 20th century. While it contains no silver and is worth about $25,000 in dirty, scratched condition, it still serves as a tangible piece of American history. Whether you're new to coin collecting or just curious about coins in your pocket, understanding the background and condition of your quarters is a fun and educational journey. Next up, the 1974 Washington quarter. Without a mint mark, is one of the many iconic coins produced by the United States Mint during the 20th century. Though often assumed to contain silver because of its metallic appearance, this particular coin was actually struck using a copper-nickel clad composition. In today's video, we'll explore everything you need to know about this coin from its history and design to its real value in today's auction market, especially in extra-fine condition with some visible scratches. Let's begin with the coin's origin. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first President of the United States. The design, created by John Flanagan, has become one of the most recognizable in U.S. coinage. It features a profile of Washington on the obverse side, along with the words "Liberty" above his head, "In God We Trust" on the left, and the date 1974 displayed at the bottom. On the reverse, the coin depicts an eagle with outstretched wings perched on a bundle of arrows, with two olive branches underneath, symbolizing peace and strength. Now let's talk about the mint mark. If your coin doesn't have a mint mark, it means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. In 1974, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 801 million Washington quarters, making this a fairly common coin in circulation. The absence of a mint mark is completely normal for coins minted in Philadelphia before 1980, as the practice of including the P mark only began 4 quarters in that year. Many people believe older quarters are made of silver. But in reality, the 1974 Washington quarter does not contain any silver. The U.S. Mint stopped using 90% silver in quarters after 1964. From 1965 onward, the Mint switched to a clad composition of 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel. This change was made to reduce production costs as the price of silver rose dramatically. in the 1960s. Therefore, the 1974 quarter contains no silver and has no intrinsic metal value beyond its copper and nickel content. Now, let's examine the condition of this coin. The example we're talking about today is described as being in extra fine condition, which means most of the original details are still visible. Washington's hair and facial features should be sharp, with some light wear on the highest points. The eagle on the reverse side should have clear feathers, though light circulation wear may be present. However, the coin also has some scratches, which can slightly impact its eye appeal and collector value. In the coin grading scale, extra fine or F's a relatively high grade for a circulated coin. Coins in this condition show signs of wear but retain much of their detail and luster, while scratches may detract from the overall look. They are common for coins that have been used in commerce. So what's the value of a 1974 Washington quarter without a mint mark, in extra fine condition with some scratches, in today's market? Because this is a high mintage, non-silver coin, its value remains close to its face value in most cases. In circulated condition, including extra fine, the coin is typically worth between 30 cents and 75 cents. The presence of scratches usually doesn't increase or decrease the price dramatically unless they are very deep or unattractive. For most collectors, this is considered a filler coin, something to include in a date and mint mark collection until a better quality specimen is found. However, there are always exceptions. If your 1974 quarter has any unusual errors, such as a double-die clipped planchette or off-center strike, it could be worth significantly more. Some error coins from this year have sold at auction for $50 to $150, depending on the type and severity of the error. But for a standard extra fine example with no visible errors, don't expect to receive more than $1 or so in today's auction market. Coins in mint state condition, especially those graded MS65 and above by a third-party service like PCG's or NGC, can sell for $5 to $25 and sometimes more if they exhibit strong luster and clean surfaces. But again, that only applies to uncirculated coins. The one we're discussing with some scratches and wears valued modestly in the current market. Still, the 1974 Washington quarter holds historical and educational value. It's a great addition for beginner collectors, especially for those building a year set or learning about mid-century U.S. coinage. Its strong design, durable composition, and abundant mintage make it one of the most accessible coins for everyday collectors. In conclusion, the 1974 Washington quarter, without a mint mark, is not made of silver and holds modest value in today's market. In extra fine condition, with some scratches, it is generally worth around 30 to 75 cents. While not rare or highly valuable, it remains a fascinating piece of American coinage history and is certainly worth keeping if you enjoy the hobby of collecting.